film would have actually gotten as big as it actually did?
You know what's been funny is the answer to that question has to be no, because there are things that have happened that are so weird that I can't possibly say that I imagined those kind of things. Like getting an award from Yoko Ono. Who knew that she even gave out awards? You know? Or, well, I could tell you some stories. But, you know, when this came to me, it wasn't just me. I was looking at this, and I did some initial research, and friends of mine from our company, my theater company, and my our advisors in the theater world looked at this, and their mouths were on the floor. Like, what do you have? What have you? What have we found out here? This is like the inconvenient. You have to put everything aside and work on this. And you know, my company's, my theater company's first huge hit in New York as a play was called The Bomb. It was about 9/11. We lived through 9/11. We were rehearsing in Brooklyn. 9/11 happened. We were in the middle of a summer program with 80 actors doing 7 different plays, running around our rehearsal space, and the whole theater company turned into the relief effort on the streets in Ground Zero. And we went from rehearsing, and we were delivering pizza and coffee to the Con Ed guys and the cops and the firemen, and we were doing it out of the Church of Our Lady of Pompeii. We became the Church of Pompeii. The new story is the Church of Pompeii is here, let us through. And we walked around the streets of New York with this ash everywhere and gas masks on, and you know, you see the ruins of this building and I mean, it was like unreal. And that piece that we were working on, called The Bomb, which was about America's history with nuclear war, and it stopped and it went from the Holocaust to Hiroshima to Los Alamos, and then we picked up Act 2 on 9/11 in New York, and then we took it to Afghanistan. It was the most popular play that we ever did because we confronted the history, we confronted what was happening to us in New York City. And there were lines around the block, and we ran it forever, and we did this, and we felt like we were alive and addressing the problem. So when this came into my life, you know, my impulse, and I don't talk about my theater work in the movie because we kept trying to work it in, but then it kept being sort of self-indulgent and just cut that. You know, you don't need that. That's not what you're talking about here. But it was always about like, the work that I've been doing for years has always been about addressing what's happening right here and now. And when this sort of came along, and seeing how widespread it was, and seeing, you know, I just felt like I had to chase it. And I felt like if we were gonna do anything, it had to work. I'm as surprised as the next person that America seemed to like, you know, the movie, and that's always a surprise. But I think that what's happening with the film is it's reflecting how many people are involved. You know, I know that when we toured throughout New York State, that whole tour was set up by the grassroots organizations. When we toured Texas, it was set up by the grassroots organizations. The success of the film, I think, is directly related to how many people this is affecting, how big the thing is, all on its own. You know, I think it's a good movie. I like the way it's put together. There are astounding things that happen in it. The people in it are amazing, aren't they? You know, extraordinary. But on that level, I think it's you know, the wave is big itself. No matter how we wrote it, it's a big thing that's going on. So that's what I mean to say by this. You know, that's why I'm trying to put that impression that this is not something to sit home for and watch happen. Now you have 2 questions? All right, let's take 2 more questions. Is that cool? Should I play the banjo? I bring it along just because it makes it easier on me. There, 1 and then 2. Okay?
I was just wondering, when you were talking to one of the companies in the film about how they like supplied water to like 10 families or something because they had contaminated their water.
Right.
By supplying these families with water, that obviously means that they have contaminated it, but it's still okay. Like, how do they explain to these people that it's okay if they had to supply water to these families?
You know, you are right. You've been right both times in saying things like, I can't believe this is just bullshit. And you've said that now twice, and I'm so with you. But what the companies will do, as amazing as it is they'll come and say, we're just giving you water because we're good neighbors.
So That's
and
their answer.
we're not going to accept any responsibility. And they give it to people without any contract. And then it becomes like this carrot. It's like, oh, well, if you keep complaining, we're going to take your water away. And then you're in this abusive relationship with them, and a dependent relationship with them. It's really, it's amazing that they can come in and say, all right, well, we'll give you. They put the replacement water in these big tanks, and they call the tanks water buffaloes in Pennsylvania. They call them water buffaloes. And it's known now that the water buffalo is the fastest growing species in Pennsylvania. And there's even a song about the water buffaloes. Look it up on YouTube. I hate to say this, it's the only fracking song that I like. It's called the Water Buffalo Song. It's all about how people don't, it's really fun. And there's water buffaloes. I'm featured in it as a banjo playing squirrel. But you're right. It's like, wait a minute. And then, how old are you?
I'm 20.
20, and you go to school here?
Yes.
Right. It's like, wait, this makes no sense. Hello, reality check. You know, I think, unfortunately, some of us who are older are used to the way that, we're used to the hypocrisy of the world. and it's too bad that we are. But these are exactly right questions. But wait a minute, if the company's doing this, then how could they be saying this? Isn't there some kind of overlord of justice that will come down and be like, you know? But there is. The only one that I know of is you, people. We have to take that power back. We have to take the people power back from where it's gone, somewhere else that doesn't do that. That's the only force that I know of that can